An excerpt from the definitive Book of Elements, written by Pentarchy Lord Magus and Grand Evoker Beryllius Dramon. Last updated approximately 60 years ago. Much has been theorized about the two Rixian inhabitants most associated with the elements, the dragons and the giants. While both have clear ties to their elemental natures, the differences between their expressions of them, I think, are particularly instructive to their natures. Old tales say that when the gods of life and nature set out to create the elements, each created their own versions of sentient beings to embody them. Dragons, they were pure embodiments of their elements. Their fires burned the brightest, their ice was the coldest, their bile the most poisonous. And though historical accounts say dragons could change their elemental natures by changing their personal natures, giants are not so flexible. Their natural fascinations with their elements lead to certain warped ways of observing the world. It is said some stone giants become so focused on their small patches of dirt that they can become isolated and lose their full grip on reality, walking through life spouting nonsense and unsure of what is real and what isn't. Certainly, giants have been able to be fairly harmonious civilizations when not trying to oppress us smaller mortals, but their connection to the elements of the world always comes first. That is why we, your 5 crowned kings, have ensured few giants remain within our borders. Loyalty must come to the Empire and its peoples first, and to the elements a distant second. Agmar Librarian Note. While the arcane work presented in this book remains at the forefront of magical understanding, much of the historical interpretations are considered at best outdated, or even deliberately misleading. Hello, everyone!
Hello!
Hi. Yeah! Welcome.
Wow. Hi.
Feel that energy.
Welcome. I'm bringing it, damn it. Energy. Yeah! 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast, Reckless Attack.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Plants crave.
I am that. Well, hey, I'm not saying you should be playing our podcast all day for your houseplants to make them to grow better, like it was classical music. But we could use the downloads. So, if that's what you want to do, I think that would be pretty neat and worth at least some sort of scientific study, in my opinion.
It might not help, but it won't hurt.
We can't guarantee that it will do something or nothing.
I cannot legally say that.
That's right.
The only way to figure it out is to do a several-year study involving thousands of plants and thousands of plays of the Reckless Attack podcast.
Yep. So just hit us up when that's done. And, we'll, like it on Twitter or something, if Twitter exists at that point. I am, as always, GM Nathan, so excited to be here with my excellent players, as always, whom I will have introduce themselves right the heck now. Who is it gonna be? Who's the weakest? Sophie. Sophie has dabbed, so that means right. Sophie gets to go first. Sophie.
Hi.
Who are you?
I'm Sophie, and I play Valeska Carter, the human astral cleric of the Arcana domain. And dabbing without hitting a mic is real hard.
I was impressed.
Very thoughtfully, very, with a lot of intention, and I thought a lot of control.
Yeah. Across the table from me.
Hi, everyone. I'm David, and I play Caskrin Brightmane, a Dwarven Warlock. And I am very excited to not be on a 30-foot stone pillar of my own creation.
Yeah, fair.
But that was fun getting to cast that spell. So thanks, Nathan, for letting that happen.
Worked very well.
It was good. It was a great time.
Very excellent.
Hello, everyone. My name is Steve, and I am playing Selv Asterlin, the Dragonborn monk, who is looking forward to not being swallowed by some kind of phantasmal, phantom, tentacled creature. So maybe the cave will be fine. And across the table from me.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan, and I play Checkers, the Grung Druid, and his trusty frog pals Mango and Junior. And I too am looking forward to hanging out with our new stone giant buddy. Actually, I think it's really exciting.
I'm just hoping all communication is not via Boulder.
Yeah, just like hi, I'm Checkers.
Yeah. Spikes into the ground.
I'm
right
just
in front
imagining it's actually like just Cascarin and the stone giant casting catapult at each other, but it just like to us it looks incredibly violent, but to them it's like a game of catch.
of you. Yeah, they're just scribbling down little passing notes to each other in class, except it's hurling boulders at each other.
Cascarin just writes a "Do you like me?" Yes, no.
with the check boxes.
Yeah. Last time on Reckless Attack, you guys were attacked by a creepy, ghostly apparition thing with tendrils, but managed to survive. So good job. Great job. And you guys were then gestured kind of towards the mountain that you have been told houses some sort of burial ground or graveyard for giants, an ancient one that resides in a mountain. You guys were directed down into a cave, and after a few minutes, you were greeted. This creature coming to you with its kind of grayish skin that almost blends perfectly into the dark, unlit rock around you, kind of wearing very simple but almost ceremonial-looking clothes, comes up to you with a smile and greeted you. The watchful dreamer sees the six who walk the waking world and asks for your goodness. Val, on face value, this makes no sense to you. You understand the words that he is saying, but it takes you a second, and I'm not even going to make you roll for it, because you have the linguist feat, as I recall.
Yes.
And that makes you not just know 17 million languages, but also very good at solving puzzles, as I recall, and ciphers and such.
Sophie, am shit at it. But
Right.
Val, man, she's great.
Right. Yeah,
Sophie,
wish
am
fulfillment.
actively working on getting better at crosswords. But like,
But Val,
Val.
crushes. I took that
Absolutely.
feat, which is crossword master,
Yeah.
and is very good. It's a little
Yeah.
OP, but
Well-
Plus
it's
5
fine.
damage to crosswords.
Yes.
between linguist and like sage background,
Yes.
like sage is like I can find the resource fucking anywhere,
Right.
and linguist is like language is nothing for you.
Right. Language is easy, and as is kind of finding hidden meanings in
Mhm.
language. And this is something Val would kind of like tangentially know a little bit about, is that there aren't really that many giants in this stretch of the world. But one thing that you would know about stone giants is they, like many giants, have a very kind of peculiar way of thinking and of kind of connecting to the world. And they kind of are in a almost like in like a dreamlike state at all times, and kind of are always speaking in this very obtuse, almost poetic sort of nonsense way of speaking, but is always like very symbolic of their meaning. And so I am just going to say, because you have taken your linguist feat and our Val generally, that you just can understand what he is saying. You are able to actually understand kind of his intention and be able to at least approximate your own intentions back at him and have, we'll call it a normal conversation, relatively speaking.
Great.
So what he said, again, the watchful dreamer sees the six who walk the waking world and ask for your goodness, is really just as simple as, I saw you all outside, and I'm hoping that you can help me.
Val will sit down and say, we six offer goodness and seek a helping hand.
He kind of like looks at you all for a moment, and then just sits down crisscross applesauce style. And it is a ludicrous thing to witness 12 feet tall legs be tucked under and be crossed as this creature sits down with this kind of big plume of musty dust coming up and kind of leans over and still towers over many of you. You all hear this rumbling that almost sounds like rocks rolling together downhill.
This dreamer dreams like Darthon. The window was opened by the lunar hand. We hope you hold eyes open and fists tight. Winds don't blow here.
Again, the turn back to Val and just kind of wait for the translation.
Like we doubly don't understand what's happening
Again, you guys are just hearing this like
Because this is all in giant, and none of the rest of us speak
So it
giant.
sounds like a didgeridoo.
Is Val speaking in like that same low?
guttural tone that is giant.
It's definitely not as low.
Uh-huh.
Like
Right.
she kind of has to like use her shield and like cup her hands
Oh,
to
that's
make
amazing.
it echo a little
Yes.
bit
okay.
to like get the right, because it's like more about like a resonance.
Yes,
in
yeah.
some aspects. So like her accent is actual garbage
Yeah.
because she just can't physically make a low
Right.
enough tone.
I think Checkers is actually just staring at Val in this kind of stupor is one way to put it. I'm just like, wow. Because you're speaking in a language that he doesn't understand, but is also so different from anything that he's experienced that this is just like, wait, this just breaks my brain a little bit.
Val, without turning to the group, will translate. This giant's name is Darthon. He was told by Lorana Moonglove that we may be here. He needs our help, but we are safe to rest for now.
Does this look like the same stone giant that Kaskrin saw through the telescope?
Yeah, great question. And I think because you were using your telescope and really watched it for some time, it is absolutely the same. You can just see it's like it has very striking clothing. It's like if it's not the same guy, and I'm pretty sure it is someone dressed exactly like him.
It's
So
his brother. Yeah.
probably is.
I'll respond to Darthon in the same riddle type language, but say
Yep.
like, my name is Valeska. We are happy to help, but are concerned we may miss our opportunity to meet with Lorana. But otherwise our minds are open and our fists are clenched in service to you.
Your walk is great, but we have to dance for them. For the ones who laugh and dream eternal. Our circle will spiral together no matter the work.
Darthon's aware we have a deadline to meet Lorana, but he will guide us after we help him, and we'll make up time, much like the Dryad.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, Checkers.
Darthon, right?
And he like looks over at you as you kind of speak up and just kind of has this just like very strange smiley expression where he's paying both very close attention and only slight attention to you all at the same time.
Darthon, do you know what this place is?
And when Checkers asks that, does it look like Darthon understands Common and just maybe can't speak it, or doesn't understand it at all and then looks to Val to translate?
He like listens to what you say and he kind of like squints as if he's trying to work it out, but then kind of gives up and then turns back to Val and then basically asks did he ask this thing? You know, and
Val
just
has to be like, there was nothing about pie, but like close.
and then he nods, and he talks in giant but looks at Checkers while he answers.
The golden befores sleep here. I am their sentry over all that were and all they will be.
And how long have you been here?
An old rhyme of serpents and time, and I have played it for all my years.
Darthon says the giant ancestors reside here, and that this place is as ancient as the age of the giants after the dragons left. He has been here his whole life.
2 futures, now 1. Long were the visions of our future and past. A lover gives until they are taken away into the sea of bone.
Darthon used to have a partner who kept this holy place safe with him.
Basically, he needs our help to make this place safe from something called a bone eater.
It sounds like he lost his partner and wants to do that in his partner's memory.
What is a bone eater?
The nightmarish fever rattles and rolls in and out. It takes like a start, with gluttony for the holy piles of earth and dust unending. But dreamers beware most of all.
A bone eater is a long, snake-like pile of bones. It finds the largest pile of bones it can feed on, but it relies on ambushes, preferably on live prey, if possible.
And he kind of like, as soon as he hears that you've like kind of stopped describing, he like leans in closer to you all, and you cast this huge, just like dark shadow, even though it's already poorly lit in here, if at all.
The defilus fills our bone walls, passes through our stone house. I wonder if they sail together, with music in the air.
Darthon has killed the bone eater many times, and even killed the blood drinker, which is what we fought outside. But both always come back, either the next day or soon after. He thinks they're connected somehow.
So he doesn't just want us to kill the bone eater. He needs us to kill both of them, or figure out what it is that is causing them to come back.
I think a little bit of both.
If you ask, he would explain that the few times he's fought what you guys fought, that kind of like blood-draining creature, that it's basically the same thing happened, it just kind of dissipated. But he wonders if these two creatures are two sides of the same coin. Maybe they are connected, maybe they are the same creature, but they both moved into his territory at the same time, and he's been able to fight them individually, but has never been able to kill both. And now his theory is that these two creatures are connected, and you've already beaten one. And so he hopes if you beat the other, that it could provide some closure.
Do you know where these creatures reside?
Or where we may set a trap for the bone eater.
And he kind of like furrows his brow at that in like clear frustration.
This rock and skull wandering is that of my own. Few homes are made here, but the eye turns to events in monstrous occurrence. Paths can be walked when they open.
Darthon knows this mountain and the catacombs well, but he has not discovered its lair. And he's never been able to kill both in one day. Potentially, maybe we can figure out where its lair is once we do kill the Bone Eater.
I think while we're here, I understand, obviously, we need to move. Why don't we take a quick break, gather ourselves, and figure out how are we going to lure this creature?
And he nods and he just stands up. And again, like all this dust just like falls from him. And again, it's very strange where just how large he is, but also of how it's dark in here. But even on top of that, you have a hard time kind of making out his exact form because he so perfectly blends with all the rock around him. And he just gestures for you to follow him deeper into the cave.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Veil of the Void. Veil of the Void is a critically acclaimed sci-fi TTRPG emphasizing creativity and custom storytelling. Its newest expansion, Yggdrasil, infuses the setting with Nordic flavor, bringing 10 new classes and species to the infinite cosmos, as well as an entirely new runic enchantment system. Start your adventure among the stars as a godling or Etten, and level up your character as a berserker, spirit caller, rhapsodist, and so much more. Veil of the Void Yggdrasil is available now on Kickstarter, and supporting it gets you both the core book and this expansion for free. Don't wait, sail through the stars with Veil of the Void Yggdrasil. Check out Veil of the Void on Kickstarter today and learn more about the project on Linktree at Veil of the Void.
This episode is brought to you by the kid-focused TTRPG Sprinkles is Missing. Sprinkles is Missing is the latest family-friendly game designed by author and game creator M. Allen Hall. Let your imaginations run wild as you explore a magical elementary school using a story-forward system. Create unique characters based on your favorite classes in school, like art or gym class, as you search the nearby enchanted forest for Sprinkles, the missing school mascot. Share the magic of TTRPGs with your younger loved ones with a game lovingly designed for players ages 6 and up. Check out Sprinkles is Missing on Crowdfunder today. That's Sprinkles is Missing on Crowdfunder.
As we're walking, am I able to tell, are all of these caverns and tunnels like giant made?
Ooh, yes. Give me a stone roll.
Nice. I have...
You're a dwarf, you have stone cunning or whatever.
Yeah, so I do actually have proficiency in mason's tools as well as stone cunning.
Okay, add the stone cunning, is that a +2?
I'm proficient in history and double my proficiency bonus to the check.
Perfect. That was what I was going to give you anyway, so have at it.
Sweet.
Ooh.
That is a 22.
As you're walking, you're kind of admiring all of this, and it looks like a totally natural cave. Almost too natural. Where you're kind of walking.
Supernatural, one might say.
Could be, that's true. But you realize that this has been carved, but has been so expertly carved that it looks natural. Just kind of slight little tiny hints here and there show you like someone carved that stalactite up there and someone formed this natural looking cave, and it's almost too perfect. But some incredible stonesmiths put this together.
And the caves he's kind of taking us to, the tunnels he's taking us through are there any that are smaller that he has to either crawl through or something?
No, these are all giant sized caverns. Okay. And he does not reach the ceiling of them. These are 40, 50 feet tall once you kind of keep going deeper. And you don't know if that is just natural occurrence or if There were giants who passed through here who needed that headspace, we'll say.
I also imagine Cascarin has to identify all of that under the layers of like stalactites and stalagmites that have formed since these caves, because this is since the age of giants that this has
also
existed.
a good point is that there are actual rocks here, but underlying it is like this cave wall is someone carved this.
There is a moment as we're walking where Cascarin realizes this, and he just like stops walking. He is immediately just like stunned and in awe, and it's like everything clicks into place, and all of a sudden like the whole cavern is like this perfect geometrical like thing of beauty. It's like all of a sudden you go into the Sistine Chapel, and like all of the art is like overwhelming, where for someone to have expertly carved a rock tunnel like this and make it look natural is like the vision and the artistry is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And Checkers sees this, and he's gonna just like poke you with a stick and just go, hey, Cass, what's wrong? What's up?
Checkers, this cave is man-made or giant-made. Someone carved all of this.
Well, yeah, they had to dig it out somehow, right?
And Cascarin like looks at a rock, like he just grabs a rock from the ground and is like, no, someone made this. And he stares at this rock.
I really am looking forward to the prequel where we learn how Cass knows so much.
I know. I was just like, I don't want to ask that right now because it's not important, but I am also obsessed with this question.
Checkers, look at this rock.
I'm looking at it, Cass. It looks like a rock.
The platonic ideal of a rock. You don't understand. They don't make rocks like this anymore.
Checkers, it's not just a rock. It's a boulder.
Cass, we
Come on. And
Cass, we gotta hurry up.
And we just hop on this giant boulder and ride it through the cave.
Yeah. And then you make it to Lorana's thing because it goes fast because, you know.
We gotta deliver these pizzas. I don't know what
the settlers used to ride these babies.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Only millennials get this episode.
Exactly.
I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
That joke was for us and some section of our listeners, I think, probably. Well, you guys all kind of see Cascarin looking down at this platonic ideal, and you almost run into the rest of your party, Cass, as they are now stopped, as Darthon is standing in front of what is obvious to all to be another work of art with a huge, massive, arched doorway. Every inch of it is a sculpture. This is a doorway that reaches 70 plus feet up a face of this cliff and is perfectly intricately carved. He kind of looks back at you and just gives you that weird, dreamy smile and holds his hand up to the door. And you hear rumblings and clickings and shifting happening behind the door. And then it swings open. These 10 feet thick walls push open. And beyond, you see catacombs, where you just see on either side of you piles and piles of bones. And they are not mortal, humanoid-sized bones. They are giant bones. You see skulls that are the size of a small room. You see femurs that are like boats. You see all kinds of things, all stacked with utmost care. And it stretches back into what appears to be a large dome structure that you can just barely make out details of. Immediately, the scale of this cavern is quadrupled and quadrupled again on top of that.
Can I tell, is the door opening magical or mechanical?
Ooh, would you like... Roll me another stone cunning check.
Nice. Ooh, 21.
It is both.
Okay.
Ages ago, there was a kind of perfect peak balance where mortals combined engineering and magic to make wonders of the world. And this seems like it is of that level of intricacy and creation, where there was some magic in there, but it's also, again, this like Swiss watch perfectly made that just you add a little spark and everything kind of opens.
Cool.
Val, you don't think Darthon wants us to fight in here, right?
I'm not sure. It could be due to the concentration of remains here, exactly where the Bone Eater is trying to get to.
Selv will kind of look back and forth, turn to face Darthon, and ask,
Is this path the only way into that domed area?
And after it is translated back and forth, he looks, from Val back to you who asked the question, and just kind of like, again, dreamily smiles, but doesn't answer right away, and walks an extra little bit, again, taking these huge strides that leave these deep imprints into the dusty floor below. And you enter into what appears to almost be like a grand cathedral, where there is here little bits of kind of gold and metal going up into this dome, along with carvings and pieces of art and just unbelievable detail. But going out in several directions are additional pathways jutting out, like you were in the middle of the spoke of a wheel. And he just kind of like looks back at you and kind of holds his hands wide.
That answers the question. Not the answer I was hoping for.
Trying to decide if Checkers is going to steal a bone or not. Probably not.
I don't think Checkers could lift.
I know.
They're all
not even like a
giant
pinky
bones.
finger
Right,
bone.
like a tiny small toe bone, basically, is like
it's
maybe
probably the size of Checkers.
Yeah, you can make it into a shield, perhaps. He gestures you on and kind of like shows you at least a few of kind of the areas. The one opposite from where you came in also is kind of catacomb style, just stacks and stacks of bones. But in some of the other kind of directions and in this cathedral itself, there are a lot that are just carved out niches, I guess, where there is just a single giant skeleton kind of embedded into the wall. Some of them are just plain skeletons. Some of them are still wearing what appear to be armor or have kind of funerary shrouds over them still, clearly dating across different cultures, different ages. But also you guys see that there are several that are empty and several that have been disturbed.
Is there any evidence that one of those missing skeletons walked out of here? Or perhaps shambled out of here?
Would you be interested in making some sort of a survival check?
Saints preserve us.
Guidance. Checkers.
I absolutely will allow it. Checkers, what do you tell to Val to get her to give you guidance on whatever you're about to do in this holy place?
Seeing that some of the skeletons have been missing from this ancient catacomb, Checkers is just going to whisper over to Val, "Hey, Val, I need some help. You see those missing skeletons?"
Yeah. Guidance.
Just immediately.
Val's probably far too distracted, just staring at everything. You're like, yeah, sure, Checkers, here you go.
Yeah, you find the knowledge you seek. Yeah.
Hey, Val, you see those missing skeletons? See, he's not going to miss another one. I can grab any one of these things.
That's
Can
what
you
I
just
was.
help me out?
That's exactly what I was going for. Checkers was
I feel like
that
Val's
was easy."
confident in enough that she can't give him enough help for him to be able to lift any part.
If you can give me enhanced ability, strength, next, that'd be great.
Yes, totally. If you cast enlarge on our bag of holding, that would also be very helpful. Thank you.
Now I'm just picturing like Checkers taking out a bunch of crayons and going up to like an enormous femur and drawing on it and coloring it in so it perfectly matches the background so he can pick it up and try to carry it out, and it would look like he's not
plan.
carrying it.
Don't mind me.
21 for survival.
So the only reason I'm pausing is because, like, survival, I realize in retrospect is kind of a fine choice to make, but I'm definitely not going to punish you for doing it. And seems also reasonable. Where, like, this is just Checkers putting things together in his Checkers way.
There's no crime scene investigation stat, so we go with survival.
Right, yeah.
I mean, there is. It's an investigation.
It's investigation.
No, it's crime scene investigation. Thank you. It's different. You're looking for footprints.
Yes.
Markings in the dust.
Actually, you raise a good point, Sophie, in that there would be markings in the dust, because there is no wind here. This is totally underground and fairly sealed. Checkers, you go up a little bit, and you see a couple of humanoid footprints in this area. Perfectly preserved because of the conditions. And your eyes kind of go up a little bit to where these feet are kind of standing and kind of facing, and you see a very, very large section empty. That, if you kind of squint and if you really just kind of could take measurements, could maybe indeed be an individual that could have shambled out of here. And you would see also evidence of said shambling going out a very different direction from where you guys were brought in.
I think Checkers is going to hold on to that information and just until we have a little bit more time, but is very curious about how these skeletons start shambling out here.
So, as you all are taking in all of this information and all of these oversized, over-detailed sites that are kind of grandiose in their own strange ways, you all are able to settle in. There's actually kind of a little living space that Darthon has kind of has access to, just kind of a little room actually off to the side. He invites you to come to take a short rest, but to relax. And as you guys all kind of filter in, lay down your packs, that sort of thing, eventually he turns to you all and, through Val, says, "Let us plan." And that's where we'll pick up next week, everyone.
Hey.
Yay! See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. I'm excited to, at some point, see this enormous stack of note cards of everything that we've done from starting from session 1.
They are not.
I was going to say.
Yeah,
They are garbage.
I said I'm excited to see.
You're welcome to keep them and frame them.
It's like a My Cousin Vinny thing where it's just 120 wrapped around a bunch of ones with just like 2 filled out note cards and around 2 blank ones.
Really, what it's going to be
We scuff up the side a little bit just to make
is the 4 of us before our last 3 sessions. We meet an hour and a half early and just start filling out fake initiative cards for every combat we can remember. I don't know. Steve's going to remember the exact details. It's not important.
And then we find out he's checking them against all of his notes.
Right. It's like, no, I wrote these down.
Yeah, right. I have exact counts.
I have to verify authenticity
of this.
I'm the one who's behind the
shepherd
novelty
went
account.
on 22 and not 23 in episode 78.
This monster can't have 97 initiative.